2, a continuation of the skin. Most of the accessories to the skin are composed of dead keratinized cells. Hair is found on most surfaces of the body except the palms and the soles. The follicle is the sheath that surrounds the hair, and the root is the part of the hair inside the epidermis. The shaft is the portion that sticks out above the surface, the part you see. The erector pili muscles attach from the dermis to the follicle. When you are cold, this muscle contracts and produces goosebumps, while pulling the hair into a more erect position. By lifting the hairs, it creates an air barrier that can be heated, much like down does on birds. Most humans do not have enough hair on their body for this to be a significant source of heat, but it is generally noticeable in keeping the heads warm. If you shave your legs or other parts of your body, you may notice that when you get cold or get goosebumps, the small hairs will begin to stick out again. Unfortunately, when the erector pili pulls the hair up like that to stand on end, when the muscle relaxes, the hair does not go back into the skin. Alopecia is hair loss. It can be due to many different conditions, so alopecia itself is not a condition or disease, just a manifestation of something else causing it. Androgenic alopecia is male pattern baldness. This is carried on the X chromosome, making it more predominant in males. Other causes of alopecia can include metabolic disorders, fungal infections, psychological disorders, and other hormonal disorders. Hair grows in different cycles. The anagen phase is the active growing phase of the hair. The length of this phase will determine how long the hair grows and ranges from about a month on many surfaces of the body to several years on our head. Our body hair will not get long like head hair because of the short anagen phase. This is also the difference in making some dogs shedding dogs where other dogs will grow long hair that has to be cut or groomed. Many permanent hair reduction techniques will only target hair that is in the anagen phase. About 20% of the body hair is in anagen phase at any given time. This means any type of permanent hair reduction treatment will require at least 5 different treatments to each hit a different 20%. Oftentimes it will require even more than that. The catagen phase is the transition phase where the hair loses its nutrients and stops growing. The telogen or resting phase is the last phase where the hair is just resting in the skin, waiting to be pushed out by the next hair in anagen phase. This is why sometimes when you pull a hair and it comes out easily without much discomfort, and other times when you pull a hair it seems they're strongly attached and more painful to remove. We have several accessory glands to the skin. The first is the sebaceous gland, which produces an oily substance called sebum that will exit through the hair follicle. Sebum is protective of the skin and hair, but when the follicle becomes clogged, it can form a blackhead. If it progresses to become inflamed, it can form a pimple or infected and form a boil. The sudoriferous or eccrine glands produce another type of sweat for temperature regulation. This contains water, urea, uric acid, ions, ammonia, glucose, lactose, and amino acid. These are located in the dermis of the skin. After profuse sweating, you may see some of these ions actually form salt crystals on your skin. If you have pets, they will tend to really like these salt crystals. The apocrine glands are another type of sweat gland that produces a secretion with more protein and fat than a sudoriferous gland. These glands release their secretion in response to stress and sexual excitement, the two situations when you probably least want these secretions. These glands are found in the groin and axillary regions. These secretions are also going to have more of an odor to them. The ceruminous glands produce cerumen or earwax. These are found in the ear canal and provide a sticky barrier to foreign matter entering the ears. If you were an insect, a human ear would actually be a pretty inviting place to live in. As a child, you probably discovered that earwax isn't the most pleasant-tasting substance out there, and it's not real pleasant-tasting to insects either. It helps deter them from getting in the ears, but if they do attempt to get in, it will act like a human flypaper able to trap the insect. The nails are another accessory made of tightly packed keratin and help to offer protection of the tips of the fingers and the toes. Our skin has many functions, one of them being temperature regulation through sweat. As you sweat, the liquid goes from being in a liquid state to a gaseous state, which helps to cool the surface of the skin. The skin also offers a physical barrier to the outside world as a means of protection. It has receptors for cutaneous sensation to let us know what is going on in our surroundings. The glands allow for excretion of waste products, but the properties of the skin also allow for absorption of certain substances. The skin is a key step in vitamin D production. This occurs when the skin reacts with UV light. Although it does not take a long period of time, we do need direct UV light without cloud cover or a sunscreen barrier to make vitamin D. As little as an SPF of 8 can be enough to block vitamin D production in the skin. A more healthy option for vitamin D is to get sun exposure early in the day or later in the day after the intensity of the rays is lower to minimize the risk of sunburn and sun damage associated with skin cancer and aging. There are three main types of primary skin cancer which originate in the skin. The first is basal cell carcinoma. This is the most common, being 78% of skin cancers, and originates in the stratum basale of the epidermis. Metastasis is rare, making this a very treatable skin cancer. Malignant melanoma is the cancer we associate with the moles that have changed in their size, shape, color, or other components of their appearance due to sun damage. This is only 2% of skin cancers. One common misperception is that skin cancer can only occur on surfaces that have been exposed to the sun. A skin cancer actually does not have to be in locations that have ever seen the sun. Any questionable lesion is always examined underneath a microscope to determine if it is cancerous. The third type is squamous cell carcinoma. This involves the squamous cells of the epidermis and has a more variable metastatic tendency, which is less favorable. This cancer is found 50% more in males than females. At the end of this presentation, there will be some links where you can take a look at some different skin cancers on the dermatology atlases provided. You will see the appearance of these can be quite varied. First-degree burns are the most superficial of the burns. They generally appear red. These may peel and are similar to what a person typically experiences with a sunburn, though they can be caused by many other things. Second-degree burns may be red, but will involve deeper layers of the skin and have blistering. The deeper damage in the skin allows fluid to leak through, and this is what creates the blisters. Third-degree burns are more severe. Here you have skin death and will have loss of sensation in the area. These go all the way down to the deepest parts of the skin. The severity of the burns depends not only on how deep the burn is, but how much of the skin is involved and what locations. Burns to mucous membranes are particularly severe. One of the risks associated with burns is dehydration. Without all the extra layers of keratin, water evaporates quickly from the body and hydration is more difficult to maintain. Also, there is a great concern of infection. Fungal infections can occur as well as other bacterial infections due to the presence of dead tissue. This is why burns are debrided and the dead tissue is removed to decrease the risk of infection.